this week's class, which is based on Leviticus chapter 1, the very first Parsha of Sefer Vayikra, we're going to be looking at the hidden meanings of some of the most essential concepts in the Torah. In this case, we're going to be looking at the biblical concept of scent, because scent is a theme that repeats itself throughout the text. We're going to uncover the deeper meaning from the role scent played from the Garden of Eden all the way to the revelation of Mashiach. And specifically in this week's Parsha, when HaShem says that the sacrifices that were made to him were of a pleasing aroma. So what exactly does this mean? What is this? What does scent mean? And what is it? What are the different themes that are connected to it? For example, when we know what pleases God is something with the nose, something that smells the right way. But when God gets angry, the literal biblical interpretation, the literal wording of when God gets angry is that his nose becomes burning. What exactly does this mean? And furthermore, it says that when the Messiah makes his appearance on the planet, that he's going to know who each person is, not by the way they dress, not by the way they talk, not what they do, and not by what they say, but rather his nose. He'll be able to judge each person through scent. So what exactly is the biblical concept of scent? Once we understand that, we have the key to unlock such deep, profound understanding of our faith and God and everything that lays before us. So let's go for a deep dive into the text, into the layers of meanings behind the words, the phrases, and the concepts, as we do every week on this Torah channel. So going back all the way to the beginning to the Garden of Eden, let's look at the role that the five senses played in the sin that caused the separation from the garden. So beginning with the first verse, and the serpent said to the woman, "You will surely not die." Basically, the serpent is persuading Eve, and she is guilty of hearing. She listened, and she was hearing the wrong advice of the serpent. The second verse, and the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was a delight to the eyes. The key here is the woman saw, delight to the eyes. This is the sense of seeing. We go to the third verse. She took of its fruit and ate. Okay, this is when she's touching. She's actually taking and holding a forbidden fruit. And then she ate, and she also gave to her husband, and he ate. And this is taste. This is actually eating the fruit. So what do we see here? What do we see here judging from this chart? We have 4 of the 5 senses that participated in the sin and were thus corrupted. But what is missing here? What is the one sense? It's the sense of smell or scent. Therefore, the sages of Israel, the Kabbalists, teach us that the one sense that is uncorrupted, that can help us access our way back to the higher consciousness state of the Garden of Eden, is scent. Scent plays a vital role in the rectification, the ultimate tikkun of mankind. You see this even in the words reach and ruach. Ruach is spirit, right? It's the part of our soul. And reach is smell. And the two words are very, very, very closely related, because smell gives us direct access right to the higher soul. Not only was scent never corrupted in Eden, but also we have this verse in Genesis that talks about how man was created. And HaShem Elohim formed the human of dust of the ground, and here it is, blew into his nostrils, vayipach ba'apav, breath of life or living soul, nishmat chaim. You say nishmat chaim can be translated as either breath of life, because there's breath is neshima, and soul is neshama. It's the same word in Hebrew. But what we want to pay attention to is the orange, when he blew into his nostrils, because here we learn that divine infusion comes through the nose. Midrash says something really, really deep. It says that when God created everything else in Genesis, he spoke it into being. But when he created the first human, he breathed a soul through him. So what is the difference between blowing a soul and creating a living being and just creating with words? With words, it's only the surface of God that is creating, and what it's creating is an external reality. But when God has to draw forth from within him a breath, it is part of his very essence that is being transmitted into you. It's existence itself being poured into you, giving life to you. And it's not just any existence, it's the source of existence, breathing life and vitality and creation into you. And thus, we learn two things from this. That our nose is a portal. It's the portal to the soul. And that breathing itself is the meeting place between the finite and the infinite. And that scent itself equals intuition. It allows us to access the higher realms of consciousness and the higher realms of our soul. The parallels between the Torah and science offer profound insights. In the Torah, scent is uniquely identified as the one sense that remained uncorrupted, serving as a direct gateway to the intuitive purity of pre-sin garden consciousness. Remarkably, modern science aligns with this idea. Scent is one of the only senses that bypasses the thalamus, the brain's sensory relay station, and connects directly to the limbic system, the center of emotion, intuition, and memory. This extraordinary connection highlights a deeper significance of scent as a bridge between the physical and the intuitive realms. No less than 7 times in this week's Parsha does it mention the phrase Reach nichoach leHaShem, a pleasant scent to Hashem. But in all of these cases, it's the person's sincerity and teshuvah. Teshuvah means returning to God. If there was some broken places or some walls between you and your higher source, your creator, then those walls need to be removed. Hashem is looking once again to bridge the finite and the infinite. Hashem is looking to have that meeting place between the two, himself and the essence of your heart. The Hasidic masters teach that the pleasant aroma that Hashem enjoyed was not from the sacrifice itself, but rather from the one offering, the one returning home. Let's take a moment and look at this phrase, Reach nichoach leHaShem, a pleasant scent to Hashem, for it is repeated 7 times in this Parsha alone. Using Gematria, the alphanumeric code of the Hebrew language, we see that the sum total of the 3 words in the phrase equals 713. What is the significance? Here we have the word teshuvah, returning back to God and bringing with us our sincerity, our return, and our longing to reconnect. This is also 713, an exact numerical match. Again, what are the chances? And here we are reminded that when we return to God, when we try to live authentically, we are releasing that lost fragrance of the Garden of Eden back into the world. Every act of love, every moment of truth, every deep breath in prayer is a korban, a sacrifice with a pleasant scent to Hashem the Almighty. A pleasing scent to God is the scent of sincerity, rising beyond the act itself to reveal the heart behind it. It's the spiritual resonance of pure offering, a scent that reflects the truth of the soul. It's the perfume of your soul's presence when a person's deepest self is brought forth and embraced by the divine. As we know, the sacrifices that was once part of our tradition has been replaced by tefillah, by prayer, and other devotional expressions. So while the form changes, the essence behind the form remains the same. And Hashem knows whether there is sincerity or not.
So we wouldn't be giving you a complete picture, a full view, if we didn't include the contrast, meaning the other side, the flip side to the meeting of the finite and the infinite through the portal of the nose. Now we're going to look at when the portal is being blocked. And that is usually when HaShem is unhappy.
In biblical Hebrew, the word af means both nose and anger. And it demonstrates a constriction of breath, the inability to breathe, and a hardening of the nose of HaShem, so to speak. Kabbalah says that kindness, chesed, is likened to the flowing of breath. It's a force that is giving us energy, infusing us with life, and it comes very, very, in a very relaxed and flowing way. So the opposite, din, when God gets angry and his nose hardens, it represents what happens to the human face when it's disappointed, when it's not flowing easy, when we have turned our backs on HaShem. The frustration and anger is seen on God's face, but it also represents the constriction of that divine flow, or rather the blocking of that divine flow. So we do it to ourselves, friends. When we're out of alignment with our higher truth, our higher source, our higher power, when we've fallen into a corrupted state and no longer in harmony with that higher truth that we are, then the channel is obstructed, the flow is blocked. And so it's an inability to breathe.
We know that animals use scent for survival, recognition, and discernment because their sense of smell is vastly superior to that of humans, allowing them to detect truth, danger, kinship, authenticity instinctively. In the Garden of Eden before the fall, human intuition, meaning our ability to know beyond reason, was fully intact. But with the fall, this higher perception was compromised, leaving us more reliant on logic and external senses. In the age of Messiah, this lost sense will be restored, connecting us to a deeper, more instinctive knowing. But first and foremost, Mashiach, the Messiah himself, will embody this perfected perception, judging not by sight or hearing, but by scent, discerning the true essence of every soul with absolute clarity.
So Mashiach does two things. He judges by scent, and we're going to be looking at the verse really, really soon. And the second thing is that he restores this natural sense of perception, this natural intuitive understanding of the world around us.
So the verse reads, and he will be infused with the fear or awe of HaShem, and he will not judge by what his eyes see, nor decide by what his ears hear. And he, the Messiah, will be infused. The phrase, vaha'arichu, is related to reach, which is scent, and can be interpreted as he, the Messiah, will sense, or even he will judge by smell. The Talmud explains that Mashiach will judge people based on their scent, meaning he will have an intuitive ability to perceive truth beyond external appearances. And he will be infused with the fear or awe of HaShem. The word yira shares a root with ra'ah, meaning to see or to perceive. This suggests that yirat HaShem is not simply fear of God in the sense of being afraid, but rather an awareness of the divine presence. He, the Mashiach, will judge each person by their scent, and he will be profoundly infused with divine knowingness. And then the verse articulates what we've already been assuming. He will not judge by what his eyes see, nor decide by what his ears hear.
In other words, his judgment will not be based on external appearances or persuasive words, but on an inner, absolute knowing, an intuitive grasp of truth that cannot be deceived. Just as scent bypasses logic and reaches the essence of a thing, so too will Mashiach perceive the very soul of each person, discerning their sincerity, their righteousness, and hidden potential. This means that in the era of redemption, truth will no longer be obscured by illusion or manipulation. Falsehoods, pretenses, and surface-level judgments will fall away, and humanity will once again operate with the clarity and purity of perception that was lost in the Garden of Eden. The restoration of this sense is not just about Mashiach, it is about all of us. As we draw closer to the Messianic era, we too are called to refine our own intuition, to reconnect with the deep knowing that exists beyond logic, and to cultivate a sincerity that can stand before the ultimate judge, not through words, but through the fragrance of our very essence.